We start out on this new road. No turning back. But we have our ancestors with us. We're going to continue to dance with them. Dreaming them. Calling them. Being them. We are becoming what we were.
It is part of the Mayan prophecies.
7 triangles of light.
Keep walking. You are the spirit of Unapu. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapu.
People who say that the gods made them from corn. They planned their lives according to the heavens. Well versed in astronomy, using a sophisticated mathematics, they calculated the movements of the night sky thousands of years into the past and thousands of years into the future. They knew that the universe moved in cycles. Their lives were ruled by the rhythms of the natural world, planting and harvesting, birth and death, just as the great tree of life emerges from the earth.
Always they're connected. Science and religion.
In dreams, we learn from the Maya gods when to plant and when to harvest, when to set a fire, and when to do the corn ceremony.
What we're digging up, what we're coming up with is part of our history. And the men that lived here are some of the greatest men we've ever had. And it's a fact that we're getting to know more and more and more about the life of these people.
They still maintain their customs. They still maintain their ways of organizing their societies. And it's very exciting to see how much of the ancient Maya way of life is still alive as well.
Because American history does not begin in 1492 with Columbus. It begins in 200 BC with the first Maya king who wrote his name on a stone. What is happening now is the people who made these places, people like Yashpak or Bird Jaguar or Fakal, are getting back their voices. They are becoming real to us and speaking to the people of the 20th century about who built this place and why and what they felt and what they thought about the world. These are not anonymous people anymore.
You are the spirit of Unapu. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapu.
Yo, yo. LA natives. You're muted.
Yo, LA natives, Las Asla Natives podcast.
What up on this fake celebration?
4th of July.
You know, where colonials get
you
to.
You know, since I was a kid, I would rarely come across the alternative message when it comes to 4th of July. Mm-hmm. It just, as a kid, I didn't really see a lot of protests or people against 4th of July.
Because it's so indoctrinated. Like, we're indoctrinated with it. Like, people go, hey, you're going to go celebrate the 4th, and you're kind of mixed. You're like, yeah, because it's our day off, right? You know, the landowners, the bosses, the corporates, they go, oh, let's give these peasants one day off right here for the 4th of July. And you ask people, hey, do you know, why are we doing this? Or what's your deal? And they're like, I don't know. Right?
It's a very delicate holiday now, because now I see a full, I don't want to say a divide, right? Because I don't want to disrespect anyone. But there's two perspectives on it.
Well, what's happening, Armando, is like, let me tell you this. Like, let me give it to you. Like,
it's a very special day, is it not?
Not for me, but for some, yeah,
right.
Of course. I mean, I'm talking about veterans that go and, go lay their life down in the name of the country. But then here's the problem. Those stories are just that, stories.
Yeah.
What is the truth? You know, none of these it's kind of like, oh, go buy your hot dogs and your hamburgers, go buy your red wine and blue beach chair, and then, you know, when the day's over, throw it away. It's consumerism. It's indoctrination. It's the indoctrination is, why are we celebrating? Oh, well, everybody was freed on that day. Really? Was in 1776, was everybody freed, Armando? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
It was still fucking slaves. This is ridiculous. And this is the problem that they're having, where you go, oh, you know, Armando, you're pointing out like, oh yeah, they're split. Well, the split comes from believing the truth and believing lies. Are you going to believe a story written by a book, written by a white man who's trying to cover up rape, land theft, you name it, human trafficking, almost the things that supposedly everybody united in one building for is still happening now, but on another level.
Right. Like me growing up as a kid, I was always looking forward to 4th of July. The only reason why was to pop fireworks.
That's one. And you go to the beach and you hang out with your family. But that's what I mean. It's like, it's almost like we don't question anything. And when you don't question anything, then you're indoctrinated.
Absolutely.
Then you don't have any vision, right? So on this show, we thought we'd come on today and talk shit for an hour about this stupid ass holiday that celebrates colonials and monarchs' rule over peasant class. This
Absolutely.
is what this is.
Farce of July.
Farce of July. And then they make you feel good about it. And then they laugh at you. Go, look at how fucking funny. They're all celebrating their own oppression. You know, this is about elites. And I'm not going to break down a history lesson here today, but let's just face the facts. You know, when they came over here, right? You don't think the rich families of Europe said, how can we go in there and fuck shit up and own shit? Because these guys think they're on their own, right?
So what does the 4th of July actually represent according to their books? Like, it was the day that, I guess,
the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah.
See,
I smoke too much weed.
No, it's not that. It's that you're indoctrinated and you don't give a shit. It's something you do.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with you're stupid or you don't have enough information or you're not wise enough. It has nothing to do with that. It's something that happens like Saturday and Sunday. That's what it's like.
And you're right. It's a national holiday. People look forward to it because it's their day off, right? Hot dogs, burgers, spending money that people don't necessarily have, but they blow it on fireworks. I just don't get it. Like, for me, if I'm gonna blow fireworks, I'm getting illegal fireworks from Mexico.
Well, that's what most people do, and I hear it all month in my barrio. It's like it's not even 4th of July. It's like all month they're like throwing off cherry bombs and half sticks dynamites and, you know, stuff like that.
But you're absolutely right, man. It's just like, it's a full blown indoctrination of the narrative that what 4th of July should represent. But we both know what it really represents.
Well, it's kind of like George Carlin said. George Carlin said, you don't have freedom when you can go to McDonald's and order whatever meal you want on that menu. That's not freedom. Freedom is going, hey, you're not going to force me to do things that I feel are inhumane or don't make sense to me, right? Like, you know, whatever, like you can't live on this land no more because this corporation now owns it or this rich man owns it.
If there's anyone that's watching this, feel free to chime in the chat. Let us know what you feel July 4th represents to you.
Absolutely. You know? We need to have those.
For anyone that's watching this, feel free to add a comment into the chat and we'll go ahead and highlight it.
Absolutely. And if you want to come on too, I mean, that there's no restrictions on that either.
There's actually an event going down today in downtown LA, right?
Yeah, we wanted to talk about that too. There's the Farce of July. The Farce of July has been going on for a long time. I can't even remember the first one. I know that I've been a part of a lot of them. And if you have a free day, it's happening in downtown Los Angeles. I don't know exactly where.
Somewhere off of Temple Street. I think anywhere between it's off of Temple.
Well, we could pull up the flyer before we go
for sure.
We'll pull up the flyer before we head out because we're going to go from the podcast to there. But yeah, just, you know, we have to come to terms with a process of decolonizing is to understand what we're doing, right? In other words, today's the 4th of July. What are we celebrating? Are we going to just turn a blind eye, open up the beer can, eat the hamburger, and just have a nice conversation with our family and ignore the fact that they're celebrating colonialism? They're celebrating the fact that they took lands from savages and now look at now even the savages are happy that we did that, right? Because when they asked Trump, hey, some question about Native Americans, and his reply was, well, we civilized these heathens and savages, right? This is the people that put on 4th of July. This is not a made up, racist thing. These fools are racist. They came here with the doctrine of discovery, and I'm going to say that probably for every single episode of podcast that I have. And they converted the doctrine of discovery into manifest destiny, bringing forth a Roman perspective with the Bible. And they signed the paperwork today, and now everybody's happy about it.
So Hector says, today is a reminder that we got conquered.
Nah, absolutely not, brother. That's not what happened. Look, we got to understand one thing. Our ancestors knew that we can never control the environment. We can never control what's happening. It's too big. So we have to learn to navigate through it. Hector, his name is Hector?
Yes.
Right. Hector, if you believe you're native, then you're still alive, right? You're still alive. You still have the perspective of being native. No matter what, no matter if it's only just to know how to burn sage and say a prayer. No matter if it's just to say, I know I come from this place. I know my parents, you can't tell me that my great-grandfather did not live on this landmass, and at one point his mind was free. We weren't conquered. We were not conquered. We were not conquered. This was prophesized. This was going to happen. Just like we died, now we're coming back to life. Because the main tool they have is division. Division of who you are, where you come from, who your grandparents are, who your elders are, all that shit is all divided. If you look at your barbecue today and look at your family and go, are we united or are we divided? Well, my tío doesn't like this and my tía doesn't like that and my mom doesn't like this. Are we united or are we divided? That's the things that we really have to question, because they're celebrating unity, equality. But are we really equal? Have we ever been equal? Has African Americans ever been equal? That's why it's such a farce. And we don't question none of it.
So it says right here, according to Google, also known as Independence Day, is a time to celebrate America. The holiday marks the day in 1776 when the Second Continental Congress unanimously adopted the Declaration of Independence, signaling the official separation of the 13 original colonies from Great Britain amid the Revolutionary War. That's what basically what Google says.
Right. The signing of the Declaration or the acceptance of the Declaration of Independence. Well, independence from who, man?
That was my next question, Zero. Independence from what?
Supposedly, Armando, right? Supposedly from the Queen of England, right? That's the story I learned at school. It was, we're declaring our independence from England. But if you look at time now, where are the centralized banks from? They hold the economy. They hold the dollar. They hold the value of everything. Where is it at? In England. They're the bankers. So it just transforms. And that's what we're here to challenge, man. We have to understand that time is cyclical. So if we focus our energy for 500 years and we focus on the cyclicalness of it, then we can start pointing out the bullshit. You start seeing the bullshit and creating your own structure, your own foundation. We need to return back to cyclical time, understanding of cyclical time, because all of this stuff is repeating in different ways, just different slight versions of it, but it's the same thing, right? We back then, supposedly the whites, when they declared their independence from England, there was still a gang of fucking natives here. The country wasn't yours yet. They only had 13 what? Colonies. 13 colonies. It took them a long time to get 50. It wasn't just like overnight, but we go and every 4th of July, fuck, man, these guys were dope. They did it overnight.
And I would assume the whole firework spectacle is their...
you know where they got fireworks from,
It's their
right?
signal of celebration, I guess, right?
But do you know where you got fireworks from?
Where?
It's not even from the U.S. It was from China. China had fireworks before the U.S. I don't think in 1776 there was one fucking firework ever. I think there were cannons. Maybe they were fucking blowing up their own cities. But there was no fireworks. I know fireworks came from China.
Right. So those liars got together on the board and were like, look, dude, we need to start making money off of this. What can we do to, injure little boys and girls?
Right.
Make
parents feel guilty.
Blow off their fingers and hands. Right.
Make parents feel guilty for not being afford to burn money. Basically that's what you're doing. You're burning money. I seen this crazy thing you posted on the blog where the fool's fucking holding the firework and it's just going off on him. It's like, that's ultimate indoctrination, man. Like, now you're just putting yourself in harm's way just to what? Are you really celebrating 4th of July, or this? What kind of stunt was that? You know what I mean? That's like beyond.
This one right here,
This
right?
is not the 4th of July. Yet you would see this on the 4th of July. Like, this is crazy. This is ultimate indoctrination. Not even knowing why you're doing it. Like, insane. This is where we're at.
That's a Fool's Gone Wild video right there.
But this is where we're at. Like, you ask the majority of Chicanos or the people in that culture of our culture who are just in between, being American and understanding that they come from indigenous lineage, they're lost. So they go, look, on 4th of July, I'm gonna hold this firework.
I actually have a couple friends of mine that I grew up with, that blew off one of their fingers, bro, on 4th of July. It's not a good holiday for me
it's not
personally.
a good memory.
There was a lot of trauma.
Damn.
We were just kids. We brought some M80s from Mexico. We didn't know how
powerful they
were.
It's a quarter stick of dynamite.
Right. So what had happened was we dug a little hole and we lit the M80, and it didn't pop. So we all got together. We're like, yo, who's down to go near the M80 and just like light it? And one of our, but it could have easily been me.
Yeah.
But
whoever was
brave
that day.
to go.
Whoever was brave that day,
Yeah,
that's the one.
So
that
he
got it.
went, lit it, and then I guess he didn't have time to pull out his hand, and it just blew up, and it took off a piece of his finger.
Wow.
Right.
Low
income.
Yeah.
Family. My friend's mom and dad had to spend I don't know how much money to get it repaired, and it's probably to this day they're probably in debt because of that.
Yeah, I would imagine it. But nevertheless, we have to move forward, man, and just understand where we navigate. The point is not to make fun of people or just kind of what's happening.
I just want, from moving forward to hopefully one day have a whole bunch of families talk about this 4th of July and what it really means to them, right? Rather than just cooking burgers and barbecuing and just thinking everything's all good.
Right. Well, it's not. And they've been marketing all good for a long time, and I think it's just catching up to them. You can't celebrate. That's why there's such a divide in the 4th of July. It's not just happening. It's because, man, look.
Like, remember the movie Independence Day?
Yeah.
Like, who were the alien invaders?
Right. It's all Hollywood. It's all Hollywood shit. But you know what's really bringing things to light, Armando, is them finding the mass graves at these residential schools, right? And Jesus was directly affected from it. Like, people went from his family to, according to him, one of these schools. That I just want to take a moment on 4th of July to really conceptualize what that is, guys. It's not just finding a 40-year-old man who lived his life and someone murdered him and buried him underneath this residential school. That's not what they found. You know what they found? They found children. Children that maybe were just homesick. Maybe they just wanted to be by their mom and dad. Maybe they just wanted to feel the love of their grandparents and they couldn't stop crying. And someone was fucking violent enough to end their life and then just bury them like if they're trash.
And this is how I see it, Zero, like from the outside looking in for myself. That story is making me think, okay, the reason why they exterminated these children, because I guess they didn't want them to reproduce. Right? Bro. Genocide, like that's a genocide, right?
I mean, I just think that, yeah, if you don't conform,
it was a planned thing where they got these schools together to purposely round up these kids and to exterminate them.
Look, this is the way I see it. If I were to put myself into those lives, I would see it in a way that's like, imagine hundreds and hundreds of kids in dorm rooms, all of them confused, all of them being forced to do things that they're not used to doing. So out of all of them, there's going to be some ones that are rebellious. There's going to be some ones that are weak and are crying too much and they can't stop crying. And they think by violence, they'll make them stop crying, but they won't. Right? And so their situation is to beat them. And if they beat them enough, they accidentally kill them. Well, just bury them in the back. And then years and years and years of it, right? Until someone finds something. And they go, oh, shit, there's a whole shitload of them. It wasn't like Nazi Germany where they're just getting them and they're just, I don't think that's what it was. I think it was just hundreds and hundreds of years of mental abuse. How many of those little kids committed suicide? How many of those little kids got slapped too hard that it broke his neck?
You're right.
How many kids got thrown in a closet and was so terrified that they died? Like, how many of those kids? It is just an ongoing abuse. It was just, picture it, a prison. And in that prison, there's all kinds of people that commit suicide, that get died violently, get beaten down or all those things. And then they go, well, we'll just bury it in the back.
You're right. You would think if they wanted to hide it, they would like bury them like miles away. But they were so lazy, they just like buried them in the front yard or the backyard, right?
Continue, because it was ongoing. It was like, just bury them in the back.
It was normal back then.
Just bury them in the back. Just, they wouldn't conform or they were trying to run away too much.
Absolutely.
Bury them in the back. These guys are going to be a bad example to the rest of these guys. And so the rest of these guys are looking at them, abuse them, maybe even murder them, maybe even bring out a crowd and say, look, if anybody fucking starts to get crazy, this is what's going to fucking happen to you.
And according to a lot of sources, they were saying that the kids themselves would dig these graves, the students themselves.
You see?
Like forced labor.
You see? That would terrify me if I had to if I was in a residential school and I'm digging the grave of somebody who couldn't shut up or someone that ran away too much or someone that wanted to stand up for himself. Right.
And they probably purposely did that to put the fear into these kids.
Fucking invaders. They're like not invaders this is a different type of evil.
And who was the leadership at these schools? It was nuns, right?
Nuns, priests, the Vatican. The Vatican is the most organized religion. You think they didn't know what was happening? Oh, what was happening over there? Dude, they based their whole shit off of it.
You know what? I just don't understand the whole narrative about requesting the Vatican for an apology. Like, what is that going to do? An apology is nothing compared to...
To me, that's just PR, bro. Like, you got to think of Vatican as not the Vatican, a church. You're looking at the Vatican as a house of state. You can't look at the Vatican like, oh, that's the church that we give money to. That's not what it is. It's fucking, dude, it can impose a residential school on your land. It could gather all the people in your land and put them in that residential school and murder them, and just be like, fuck it. Oh, but we're the church. We're the church. That's them. We're the church. It's not the church. That's the fucking head of state. Right? An invading army who comes and kills things. That's what that is. That's the way I see it. There's no other way around it. You murdered children. Stop making it like, oh, it's just they murdered children. And these are the ones that we found.
Now, were the nuns running the schools, like as of principals and administrations? Were there any males involved? Because from the outside looking in, I'm seeing a whole bunch of female nuns.
I'm sure that there was an equal amount of male and females to run a residential school that ran hundreds of kids. You got to think of that. It's not just 10 kids, 15 kids, 5 kids. It's hundreds of kids. There could be, and here's the thing about the church.
It was like an equivalent to the modern day elementary school, but times 5.
Right. Or whatever. And I think I went to high school, so you had different age groups.
That's right.
So, and think about it, the church doesn't work like, okay, the residential school, so only the people that are local there that went to the Catholic or did ordination, whatever, ordaining them, and then they work right. No, the Vatican sends people there. No, you're going over there now. No, you're going over there now. It's the centralized head of state. That's what I'm trying to point out. This wasn't just oh, wow, they're going to help the natives. This was not that. This was torture, and now it's coming out.
And you're saying the people and what?
Now it's coming out.
And the churches funded these schools?
Of course. Who else would
with
fund
the government, right?
Who else would? I'm sure that there was some cohesion there, some sort of deal, whatever.
Between the government and the church.
Well, I mean, the Queen of England still owns Canada, right? They're still on. So there you go. That's their head of state. It's kind of like the U.S. It's a perfect system. Right, a middleman that you go, oh, he's born in the U.S., but his allegiance is to the crown. Same thing in Canada, right? Born in Canada, but the allegiance is to the crown. Like, come on, guys, this is what we. And then we go out there and we fucking shoot fireworks off, and we eat hamburgers, and we go, this is what's happening. Right? That happened a long time ago. Yeah, we're no longer a part of the England or whatever the fuck. It's not true, man. And then we start digging up the graves of the kids of what the fuck they did. This is an artistic revolution, guys. It's not so much just mention what happened, but write the story from the perspective of the undead, of the dead. That's how powerful we are as artists. We can bring the truth out. Many, many, many artists have done it. That's the call. And I'm not talking about like musicians and painters. Yeah, I'm talking to them, but I'm talking to you. Whoever, your life is an art. Your life, the way you move, the way you share information, the way you cook, the way you give things to people, the way you do, the way you live your life is art. Now's the time to share that art. That art's very important because they're digging up the flowers of truth. I posted on IG today. They thought they just buried kids, and this isn't a native saying, but they really buried seeds that will come out. And they came out, right? How? The little skull comes out of the earth, little bones, right? The innocence of it, the innocence of that life. Did it really deserve that? Right? But the truth is, flowering, because we're not going to let that happen again to my kid. I'm not going to let my kid, I'm going to have to teach my kid to learn how to navigate against these people. And you treat them as so. That's my opinion, And
it was a weird priest out in Canada that was against all this nonsense that's going on. And he was saying, hey, no one's talking about the good that these residential schools did for these kids. I'm like, what good?
Right. Yeah.
What did they help them get to college or anything. Like,
I mean, even
doubt
if
that.
even if they did do good, what good?
Okay, like
is
what
it?
good is it?
Yeah,
right?
it's like the rebellious natives from the missions, all the way from the conquest. The rebellious natives were treated like this. They were the ones buried with no marked grave because they would give the people inside the mission inspiration enough to do it or get the bravery enough to stand up, right? So when you don't stand up, then you become a good boy. And that's what they want. They want you to conform to their ideologies, right? First, it's race. And if you get out of the race card, then you become wealthy. And then race isn't a matter. Now it's more of an ideology of wealth and how to keep wealth and how to look at people because they don't have wealth, you know? That's really the revolution that we want to call out here on LA Natives, is not to be educated, but to be informed, to be over-informed, to be so informed that you can go up to people who are educated. You understand? There's a difference between education and information.
Indoctrinated education.
Yes. Like, in other words, if there was a person with a master's degree sitting here, I'm informed and he has a master's degree. He is educated. What's the difference? He's being told what to do, how to do it, and what his limit is. Because he has a master's degree. He cannot go to the next level unless he has a doctor's degree. But I'm informed. And I can have the information of a doctor if I wanted to. Be informed. I won't have their degrees, I won't have their titles, but I'll have the information. That's what I want to spark into the LA Natives community. Be informed. Be informed and be non-judgmental, because they don't know how to handle that. It's time to the rising of the sixth sun that we talked about in 96 is to take care of yourself. Just like Cuauhtémoc said before the invaders came. Hide all the knowledge. Well, now the knowledge is starting to become truth with the revealing of dead children on residential school lands. And we haven't even got to America. We haven't even got to America.
And that's what's really strange about all this, right? With how the media could spin this in a whole different direction on just blaming Canada and keep the attention over there, right?
You don't know how many sonograms are going off right here, right now. They're find them, get them out of here. It's like fucking, dude. It's not. That's what I love about our story, though, in LA Natives, is that we're telling the story of genocide by being survivors, right? No one freed us. No one gave us a UN. No one gave us a country. No one gave us land like that. We're telling the story just by our spirit wanting to tell the story. And that's what we kept trying to tell the white man, is that time is cyclical. Time is cyclical. You don't have that much time. You think you're controlling time, but you don't have no idea of what it's going to do to you. And now here we are. People are tearing down colonial statues all over Turtle Island. It's not just Canada, man.
And in Canada, though, all the locals are up in arms because these Catholic churches are being burned down. They're trying to find suspects and criminalize them. And, you know, they're doing investigations. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a minute. Do you guys know what we discovered?
Yeah.
You know? And then they're interviewing the head priest of the Catholic Church of that individual church that got burned down. And he's like, hey, man, you know, we had nothing to do with that. All of our locals are asking me if we're safe to go to church again. I'm just like, damn, man, there's no sympathy there.
That's how indoctrinated people are. That's how indoctrinated people are. Picture this. Picture being in a mission, and everybody lives in that mission, and there was a fire in that mission, so everybody went out of that mission, right? They were like, well, who the fuck burned down the mission? Well, it was those fucking mad natives because they have their kids right here, right? And then you go, but why did they burn down the mission? That sucks. Can we go back to the mission now? The kids, the ones that are indoctrinated, they think that the mission is a safe place. Same fucking thing here, where they're like, can I go back to the safe place of church where they tell me what to do, where they tell me I'm a sinner, where they tell me I'm the bad guy, Like, how fucked up is that relationship? After we told you, like, you would think that the people in the little kids outside the mission going, hey, oh, what the fuck? They burned down? Yeah, because they were molesting so-and-so and so-and-so. Yeah, good. I'm glad they fucking burned that shit down. Right?
But now they're trying to find justice.
Right. They're going, no, those are the bad guys. The bad guys were murderers of children, not the guys, the arsonist. He's just the arsonist. I'm not trying to justify arson. I'm not. I'm trying to justify emotion. I'm trying to justify, hey, motherfuckers, you're not doing that shit to me no more.
It's cause and reaction.
Exactly. What would happen? What would happen if...
And keep in mind, there was no people in these schools. You would think if it was a deranged arsonist, like he would just burn the church and make sure people were in there, but they're not going that route. They're just making a statement.
Yeah, they're burning the symbol of colonialism,
Absolutely.
The symbol of violence, the symbol of child trafficking, the symbol of child molestation.
And it's going this far. They're putting them on the most wanted list over there in Canada, which is disgusting to me.
Which is, that's so
So they're
sad.
flipping it like that, right?
Yeah, well, and they won't do that to the pedophiles, right? The pedophiles that they caught, all those pedophiles that you know, hundreds. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, a guy touched 2 or 3 kids. No, this motherfucker touched 300 kids, 500. They don't put his fucking face on there.
Where are the investigations of these priests and these nuns that are still alive today?
This is, you know what it is that they're trying to figure out, like, fuck, man, this is worse than the Nazis. This is worse than the Nazis. That's really what they're trying to fight, the propaganda of that.
Damage control.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing with the Epstein thing, right? The whole Epstein, this is worse than the Nazis, man. Like, these guys are fucking little kids. The heads of state are really on that level? Nah, they're not on that level. They're not. They just went over to Epstein's to eat lunch. What do you mean? The island that's actually known for pedophilia? They're just going to have lunch there and nobody's going to fucking, everybody's all cool with it? It's the same narcissist gaslighting bullshit. How the fuck do you get a free pass just because you're a church or you're the priest? If you were the priest, you'd be like, fuck, man, I'm fucked up. I picked the wrong thing, man. I didn't know they were burying kids. Not defending it. Not overlooking it. Just because it happened 60 years ago, 7 years ago.
And the audacity for these people in leadership to say, hey, that wasn't involving me. Right? That's the most ignorant statements I've seen on Canadian news so far, because I've been, watching these videos on YouTube, and it's just like, wow, man, like you're
but your organization, it's on your organization's property.
Absolutely.
It's on your organization. They not once did where was it that we didn't do this? Where's the statement that said that they didn't do this? Yep. Has there been a statement that said that they haven't done it? No. So how the fuck are you staying there as a priest trying to defend it? It's like trying to defend the molestation shit that happened. Oh, well, fuck, I didn't know it was happening. But it happened. And it wasn't just one. It was lots of them.
Or the priest is like, yes, it happened, but it wasn't me. So don't burn down my church.
Yeah. No, my ideology is still intact. What do you mean? Your guys are being accused of murder, rape, pedophilia, all these things.
So native.
And look, at the same time, you have the right to exist. Just don't stay around me. You understand? I'm going to teach my people what's up. I'm going to teach my kids what's up. My kids don't even know who Jesus is. They don't know him. And they're not going to know him. Ever. That's the way I roll.
So native tendency says it's not a free pass, Zero. It's that if they start holding these criminals accountable, their whole system crumbles and religion would not exist, or at least their systems of oppression.
Yeah. And that's what we mean.
You got it, native
that's
tendencies.
What I mean.
Thank you for that comment,
That's
brother.
what I mean, brother. Of course. Of course. It's built on the book, right? The Doomsday Versace was written by a pope to take over the land and to put people who are not indoctrinated in Christianity into perpetual slavery. It's not slavery, like they're a slave, they die, and that's it. It's perpetual slavery. What's perpetual slavery? Ongoing, forever, right? That's the Doomsday Versace from the Vatican. And then you got Manifest Destiny from King James, which is still the same source, doing the same thing to California natives, to Arizona natives, so on and so forth, and took over the West. All of it is based on murder and lies. Yet we just go, but that happened a long time ago. Doesn't matter now, right, Armando? Yet the pandemic happens and people can't even pay their rent, right? It's like, dude, this is where we have to be, though. Not frustrated. This is where you hone in on your diet. You hone in on your meditations. You do your mile run, your 2 mile run, your 3 mile run, and you know they can't control everything. They act like they do. That's the illusion. That's the illusion.
And information is key, guys, and it's all about spreading awareness, right? Like, we're not here to save the world, right, Zero?
Nope. We're not even here to judge them. I'm not. I'll point their atrocities out. Who wouldn't? It's like us being in a circle and then the homeboy comes in and I know that homeboy and I know that homeboy fucked somebody's, little sister and da-da-da, and I'm going to be not saying nothing. Be like, hey, dude, watch out for this fucking dude. This dude's fucking, he's wild. He's vile. But I'm not saying, hey, guys, let's get him and tie him up and kill him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they have a right to exist. But you don't have a right to keep me into perpetual slavery. You don't have a right to do that shit. Or my children's. And that's why we always talk 7 generations. 7 generations, man. They came with the plan to put your people into perpetual slavery, ongoing, forever and ever. That's why you can't afford to go to college. That's why your mom has to work fucking 15 hours a day. That's why your dad has to work 15 hours a day. That's why you have to work 15 hours a day. You're in perpetual slavery. Written by some idiot. Come on, it's time to challenge those things. We have the power to do that. We have the power to challenge atrocities and call them out for what they are. And in time, we'll have the information to set our boundaries. That's inevitable. Because I want to see how long pedophiles and land thieves and rapists and human traffickers can continue to rule the world. Right? Thinking it's fucking cool. Right? Back in the early 90s, they thought it was cool to be that way. Right? What's the underlying story, bro? That's what I'm talking about.
Man, such a powerful day, man. We just want to pay my respects to all the, Native children out there that were found. My condolences. And we're just a small little podcast trying to, spread this awareness, right, Zero?
Absolutely. We're dedicated.
And like you said, Zero, it's a matter of time that they find more children in the U.S.
Yeah, that's inevitable. That's inevitable. And it's coming on places that we thought were safe. For hundreds of years, they taught us that those places were the safest places. Those places were doing good to us. Right? And maybe some people did, shut their mouth, did what they're told, became a doctor, became a lawyer, became whatever.
Politician.
Maybe one of those or 10 of those kids did that. But was it worth losing even one of those lives that way? Huh? Was it worth it? Because it wasn't just one. So far, it's been 1,500. And that's what they're telling us. Who knows if there's a grave with 500?
Now, Serpana says there's over 370 residential schools in America.
Imagine the excavations. We should demand as a human collective to put yellow tape around all these residential schools and all their properties and immediately create mass grave sites. We should demand that as a human. We have the power, we have the resources, we have the information. You know, and it's not to take the thunder away from the ones that they're finding. It's just that we're finding that colonialism and these elites understandings and all this bullshit that they try to call our society is a very violent one. And they're playing it off like it isn't. And that's the worst relationship to be in, is in a narcissist who's gassing you up and saying that's not what's happening, as they're, you know, sticking a knife in you and taking your money and raping your children. These are serious crimes. They're not crimes that are like whatevers, right? Murdering a person in self-defense, that's kind of a different story. But murdering a child? Who justifies murdering children? On the fact, oh, well, they only found 1,500. 1,500. One, put it on the news. Oh, man kills a baby. Man kills a child. Man kills a 6-year-old. What has happened in LA? Fucking everybody's up in there, right? Well, they found 1,500 of them. They're all native. They're all my brothers and sisters. And they're speaking now. They're speaking. They have a voice now. What, you think you shut them up just because you cut their life off? No, their bones talk. Their bones are going to say everything they need to say. Right? And for all of you that defend that, that's what you're defending. The murderers of children. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. So we're going to be getting out of here. There's an event popping off right now in downtown LA. I got the flyer up. It's called the 24th annual 4th of July. We got Asan Underground performing.
Jag's going to be there.
Jag's going to be there.
Jessa. The Tungva.
Frosty. Going to be there. JD Wolf Robe is going to be there. Yeah. It's a great organic event. Grassroots.
Asan Underground. Underground.
Absolutely. They just came out with the new music video, by the way. It's on undergroundhiphopblog.com. Check out that new music video. Man, Zero, thank you for everything that you've been doing for this podcast, man. And shout out to all the supporters out there.
Yeah, thank you for all those that chimed in on the chat, man. There wasn't that many this time, but that's okay. Today's a holiday, and I just had to voice my opinion. You know, I can't go along and just not say anything anymore. And, you know, thank you, Armando and Underground Hip Hop Blog, for letting me have a voice, you know, for our people. And hopefully this next season that's coming up, we're planning on some good things. We're getting a good team together, and we got some good announcements coming in the next, you know, month or two. Me and Armando are serious about this movement, and Armando's starting to realize that it's not just about being dope hip-hop artist or producer, or being a dope hip-hop artist or being a dope producer. That the story when it comes to Native people is a hidden tragedy, but a triumphant story. Our elders implanted deep into our souls the will to survive, to understand periods of death as well as periods of life. We're coming to the light. The light doesn't mean that it's happy and beautiful. Sometimes it's tragic and sad, but we have to transform that energy and just bring truth so that the next 7 generations would never suffer that ever again. That's what our great warriors of the past kept alive for us. Stay strong in the prayer. Their colonialism, their elitism is not going to last forever if you stay focused on the prayer. The great Wavanka, the great Sitting Bull, the great Geronimo, and all those other warriors that stood up. We have the right to be here. We have a relationship with this land. And this land has a relationship with us. An infinite connection to the universe and stars. We'll see you next time, LA Natives.
This Wednesday and next Sunday, tune in. Thank you for all the support. We are out.